Okay. Supposedly we're live here right now. I tested this out yesterday and it worked, so I don't know. I got a message here saying stream validation in progress. So we'll see if this actually works. I'm just going to go ahead and do this because I know it gets recorded and it's available online later. So let's get a better angle here for keyboard. That'll work. Okay, then I'm going to talk to this camera over here. And the lighting's not ideal either. Nothing's perfect. Okay. Steve, maybe turn this one off here. Kind of hard to say, huh? Leave it on. Okay. All right. We'll just work with it. I still got that message there. So also I can't see who's joined, who's in attendance watching. I know there's a way that I can do that, and eventually when I get more familiar with this technology, I can interact with you a little more, like I could on Facebook. By the way, this app I'm using is an app called Switcher, so it allows you to have as many angles as you want. However many devices you have, you can do like a live stream through all those devices at the same time. So it's pretty cool technology. I'm still learning it. It does cost money. It's like $30 a month. And so, yeah, I still got that stream validation in progress. That's a little nerve-wracking. All right, well, just got to keep going here, and hopefully it'll work out. So this is my third event like this in the series. In the series, we're supposed to have 4. We'll possibly have a 5th one. The 4th one I haven't really figured out yet. It was originally supposed to be streamed on, the Sherman Griffin Facebook page, but I haven't coordinated that with our tech person. Also, it was advised that I do one of these recitals on Instagram. And who knows, if this recital here is a bust, then maybe I'll try it again on YouTube in 2 weeks. So I seem to be doing this like every 2 weeks. And to be honest, I'm having a lot of fun doing this. Even if it doesn't work out, it's still fun for me to do this. Once the purpose of these recitals kind of runs out, I might just continue to do them every 2 weeks anyway, just for fun. Just because I don't go out and play anymore. I only play at home now. And it's nice to have, still like to have an audience. I just don't care if the audience is virtual or if they're live in person. It doesn't affect my way of thinking while I'm playing in any way. So I just kind of do my thing anyway. But anyway, the purpose of these recitals that I'm doing right now is to bring awareness and to fundraise for a project I'm working on called the Sherman Griffin. So I'd like to talk for about 10 or 15 minutes about that project and maybe a little background information. By the way, this pitch I'm doing in the recital I'm about to do afterwards, it's exactly the same as the first 2 that I did on Facebook. But if you've heard the first 2, I still encourage you to listen, and when things are done live, things happen differently each time, and then you can maybe also gather more information about the project that you maybe missed the first and second time. So just a little background about this project. It's probably exactly a year or close to a year that this idea has been growing. I'm going to cut to the chase, and I'm going to give the long story. The short story is I live on the west side of Milwaukee. All my work and activities that I do were on the east side before COVID. And so I would be always driving from here to the east side, and I would drive through all these neighborhoods in Milwaukee with abandoned buildings, mainly on Center Street. if you know Center Street pretty well, there's like only one in every three building is being used for something. And so then it just occurred to me that, you know, this is kind of a waste of space that could be used for education purposes, for economic purposes, or for entertainment, just to kind of liven up the atmosphere a little bit. And you know, most of those buildings are not expensive. So, you know, as long as you have, and a lot of them are city owned too, so if you have a good idea for a business project, you can pitch it and get grants, and there's a lot of people that have been along the way to help me, a lot of people, and I've been very appreciative and grateful to their guidance and help, and really I've been getting fantastic guidance on where to look for grants, who to talk to get support for the project, also which banks would fund this type of a project, how to organize the project into an idea that's presentable to people that might be interested in being a part of it. And so this is, yeah, it's been wonderful to have that support. So this project, the Sherman Griffin, is supposed to be a music school, which would be a 501c3. It would also be a cafe and a jazz club, which would both be LLC. And so those three operations under one building. And right now, we found a bank that it's MEDC. They would like to fund the project. It's $1 million project. They said they would be able to fund $700,000 of the project if we can come up with $300,000 up front, which they would call community equity. Okay, so that's where I'm at. That's why I'm doing these recitals, is I'm trying to raise funds for that $300,000. Once we've collected the $300,000, we would verify that to MEDC, and they would go ahead and process the rest of the money that we need. For construction, okay, so I should emphasize that the money that we're trying to raise right now is for the construction part of the project. The music school is will be a 501c3, and we would like to set up a scholarship foundation that would give kids grants to take music lessons. You know, if they're really interested in music lessons but don't have the financial means to take the lessons, these grants would be there for them. And I should emphasize that there's music schools on the east side, and then there's schools in Brookfield, right? But nothing in between. So this is a way of reaching kids that maybe don't have the opportunities to get to the east side or to Brookfield. And it's also a way of helping stimulate some economic activity in that area, and just kind of liven up the atmosphere a little bit. So the money we're trying to get right now for the project would be tax deductible. We are not a 501c3 entity yet, but we are piggybacking on the Sherman Park Community Association right now. They've been a very supportive organization of this project, and they would be collecting the donations so that donors could write off their donations in taxes. So if you're in that tax bracket where you have a very heavy tax burden every year, maybe you could consider a donation to the Sherman Park Community Association, and then in the memo of the check you would put Sherman Griffin, and we would have a special account in the Sherman Park Community Association where we would keep your money, and it would be used specifically for the construction of the Sherman Park, of the Sherman Griffin. So I should emphasize that this would be for the construction part of it. Later on, once the construction is almost complete, hopefully we've successfully applied for the 501c3 status, and then we would be taking donations for the scholarship foundation that I just mentioned a little while ago. So right now we're at the point where we're supposed to have the account open, but we're just want to make sure we have all our bases covered legally. So we have some lawyers that are working out a fiscal agreement. to make sure that everything is done legit, and that your money would be used with the purpose it was intended for, which is for the construction of the Sherman Griffin. So we've already taken pledges, which has been very generous, and we've been very appreciative of them. But we have to first get the bank account opened up through the Sherman Park Community Association, hopefully this coming week. And if we can do that, then we can start putting money into the account, and we can start to streamline donations. If you're not in that tax bracket where a tax deduction doesn't mean anything to you, there's still ways to invest in this project, and it would be a type of investment actually, because you would be lending us money, and then once the operations of the business are underway, we would pay back your loan at a 3.5% interest rate, and that interest rate we could negotiate depending upon the situation. Like if we're in the need of just a few quick extra loans to finish up our project, or there's a lot of other situations we might be able to negotiate on a 3.5%. So that's another way to do it. If you want to contribute a large sum of money, but you don't think it'd be tax deductible, you can do it as a loan too. We have contract templates already prepared for that. We just maybe have to have our lawyers just confirm the wording of those contracts one more time as well. So the other way we want to collect money for this is through crowdfunding. That would be like once we have our website a little bit more established and we have our bank account set up, we would have a PayPal or Venmo function on our webpage and our Facebook page, and then you could just donate $20, $30 and it would go directly into that Sherman Griffin account. So these are three methods that we plan on using to get money for the $300,000 that we need to raise as a sort of a down payment to MEDC. And we would like to do that this month by the end of August, so that we can begin the construction in September. And I should mention that our architect is Allison Nemec with Quorum Architects. She's already designed some renderings and blueprints that are on our Facebook page and website. The website is theshermangriffin.org. Okay, and you have to put the in front of it. Also, if you do a Google search for the Sherman Griffin, it'll come up as the first hit. Also, if you do a Google search for Sherman Griffin Milwaukee, it'll come up as the first hit. But if you type in just Sherman Griffin, it won't come up for some reason. We haven't figured that out yet, and we hopefully soon we'll figure that out. If you type in just Sherman Griffin, I think a boxer or someone comes up as like the first Google hit. So you can go there to see renderings and blueprints of what the building will look like. And you can also contact me directly. Just send me an email or a text message. My cell phone number is 631-353-9586. And I can provide you with a 13-page PDF file that has pictures and things in it, and it describes the project a little bit more. But we would like to, I want to emphasize that we plan on making this a really classy operation. We don't just want to make it some cheap thing. That's why we're spending $1 million on this, to make it a really high-class environment where kids will have a 5-star music education, where moms can take their kids to enjoy Colectivo coffee in the cafe, and during the daytime or on the weekends, where it's a place where they can gather and feel safe. And we'd also like it to be a place where people can get entertainment on Friday and Saturday evenings. And we'd like it to be a jazz club, so it's not going to be like a disco club or a tech club or anything like that. So We won't keep the neighbors up. It'll be a jazz club. We might have some comedy once in a while, but there would definitely be quality entertainment on Friday and Saturday evenings. We'd like it to be one of those places in Milwaukee that musicians brag about being able to play at. There have been a lot of musicians, most of my music friends seem to know about this project already and are also pretty excited for it. So I'm really hoping we can pull through with this. The biggest obstacle is raising the $300,000. We've already received some generous pledges, and we'd like to keep the momentum moving. We just need to open up the account, and then if we can do that this coming week, it'll probably be a little bit easier. My next pitch and event to give specific instructions how to pledge money. And right now, just reaching out and talking to me is probably the best way to do it. I remember most everybody I talked to about this project, so I won't forget you. Don't worry. One more thing. David Barnett is a good friend of mine. He is an art dealer in Milwaukee. His art gallery is over on the east side. And if you go to his art gallery and buy a piece of art and mention the Sherman Griffin project to him, 10% of the sale of the piece of art will be a donation towards the Sherman Griffin project. So he's partnering up with us to help us to raise the funds, and hopefully it also gets people to look at his art, that collection that he has, because boy, that is like the best kept secret in Milwaukee. His art gallery is amazing. I can't overemphasize that enough. He has Picasso, Miro, Dali. I mean, he presents his artwork really well too. He has a lot of people that do really neat gallery presentations there. So anyway, you should definitely do a Google search for David Barnett if you don't know him, and browse his art. You can also buy his art online. So if you're social distancing and you don't feel comfortable going out on gallery nights, which are like the third Friday of every 3 months or something, I can't remember, but it's if you don't feel comfortable going out, you can still purchase his art online and send him an email, mention the Sherman Griffin to him, and he will donate 10% of the sale to the Sherman Griffin. Let's see, I think that's all I need to mention. And it still says stream validation in progress. Boy, I don't know. I'm just gonna go ahead and do this concert. So, okay. I'm gonna start off with some Schubert. Schubert was a composer that bridged the classical era and the romantic era. And he wrote 2 sets of impromptus, the Opus 90 set and the Opus 140 set, or 142, I think. And I'm going to play the first 2 impromptus of the Opus 90 set. The first one's in G minor. Okay. All right, that was G minor. I'll play the second one now. It's in E flat major. Schubert Impromptus, the first two from the Opus 90 set. I'm a big admirer of Bach, Johann Sebastian Bach. So I'd like to play some Bach for you. Bach's music is from the Baroque era, and so that came before the classical time period. And his music, and most of the music during the Baroque era, can be described as polyphonic music, which means you have two melodies that are, or two or more melodies that are going on at the same time. This would be as opposed to homophonic music, where you usually have harmony. For pianists, it'd be like harmony in one hand and melody in the other hand, right? So that would be homophonic music, where you usually have just like one melody going. So polyphonic music, you have like two melodies going, and the melodies already imply the harmony. So it's pretty challenging music, even though it seems very simplistic. And even though it seems simplistic, it's definitely not boring. It's just it's kind of meditative. If I need to reset my mind, I just listen to some Bach and I start to feel at peace with myself. So Bach is very therapeutic, and I really admire his music a lot. It can be exciting at times, but it's mostly just really pleasant to listen to. So I would like to play the C major two-part invention. It's the first one in his set of 15. Okay, and I usually like to follow up Bach with rag music, which is music written for piano. The big rag composer is Scott Joplin. I could play Scott Joplin. Maybe I'll do that in some future performance. But today I'd like to play a rag called the Charleston Rag by U.B. Blake. still have that stream validation in progress thing there, but that's a at least it'll be recorded. I can just, share it with people that are interested in it later. Okay, so yeah, that was UB Blake. That's a fun piece. Rag music's a lot of fun to play, so I know a lot of rag pieces. But we'll keep things moving along here. I also like to play music by composed by local musicians, and in recent times I got to know a really well-known singer in Milwaukee. His name is Jerry Grillo, and he saw me playing online during the past few months, and got me interested in his music and asked if I wanted to play some of his music, and I said of course. So I went on his YouTube channel. You could go to his YouTube channel and check out some of his music. Grillo is Grillo, and I heard his piece that he wrote called Good People, and so I transcribed it for piano. Okay, so this is going to be a piano solo version, even though his version is piano and voice too. So I'll play the vocal lines, but I'm not going to sing. Okay. So anyway, this piece is called Good People, written by Jerry Grillo, and I've arranged it for piano solo. move on to Rachmaninoff. This is one of his preludes in B flat major. Rachmaninoff was a phenomenal pianist, so this is some pretty virtuosic stuff here. Rachmaninoff. Okay, let's see here. Next piece. Next piece is written by a good friend of mine, And I should say I was closer with him like half a lifetime ago because we were college buddies. He was more like a mentor to me. He was an upperclassman, and I really looked up to him and admired his musical skills, and also as a person, he's just a really good person. And his name is Javier Arau. He lives in New York now. I knew his wife too because his wife was also a college classmate of mine. And so they were together, so it's like not high school sweethearts, but college sweethearts, right? And so they married and moved out to New York. And he's a composer, also a big jazz musician. I think he heads a jazz group out there, like the New York Jazz Academy or something like that. Anyway, he wrote this piece in college, and I premiered it on one of his composer forums back in college. And it's written for solo piano, and it's a pretty wild piece. A lot of dissonance, but it's dissonance I think that's accessible to the average ear. Some people you might not like it, or you might like it or not like it, but it is something you can still kind of follow. You can hear the melody and everything. It's not like completely noise and dissonance. It's a really well thought out composition. And it's pretty exciting. I was very much attracted to it, and that's why I wanted to learn it. Well, I'll just play it for you. It's called Variations on a Cantiga. So, cantiga is a type of song from Brazil. And so there's a melody in the beginning for the theme, and then it just starts to expand, and have different types of variations of the theme throughout the music, and it just keeps getting crazier and crazier until it finally comes to a conclusion at the end. Okay, all right, that was Variations on a Cantiga by Javier Arau. Let's see here. Yeah, I got, looks like, oh, my phone is not charging right now. Let's get this one going here. Okay, yeah, we can keep this going here. Yeah, so the next piece I'm going to play here is a favorite of a lot of people. It's Rhapsody in Blue by George Gershwin. George Gershwin's another composer I really admire a lot. Mainly known for his Broadway musicals, but he was an amazing pianist also. And he lived a very short time. He's American. He's an American Jew. He didn't live very long, so it's kind of unfortunate because he did a lot with his very short lifetime. So it kind of makes you wonder if he lived twice as long as he did. He was already pretty much an American icon, but he could have really. I mean, just imagining doubling his output is already kind of mind blowing. So anyway, Rhapsody in Blue is mainly performed by orchestra and piano. I'm just going to do a piano solo version, which actually includes all the orchestra parts. So it's not like it's reduced in any way. If anything, the piano player has a little bit more work to do than if he was playing solo with an orchestra. So you'll hear all the orchestra parts, and if you know the piece well, it's if you do know the piece, but you don't know, if you know the if you start to recognize the melody, I should say, but you don't know the piece that I'm talking about. When I was a kid growing up, it was the theme for the United Airlines commercials, Flying the Friendly Skies. They would always have that music playing as a soundtrack. It's if you do know the piece pretty well, it's kind of fun to hear all the clarinet glissando in the beginning and being played on the piano, and there's parts where the muted trumpet plays, and it's all played on the piano. It's kind of fun to hear a piano player playing it instead of those individual instrumentalists. So anyway, it's about a 15-minute long piece, so just sit tight. Rhapsody in Blue by George Gershwin. Boy, I wish I would know if you guys are, if we're live here and you guys are, there's actually an audience. Hopefully, at least it gets recorded and I can share it with you guys later. But it's okay. This is, like I said, this is just fun for me to do like this anyway. And I'll get, I'll learn, I'll get better with this technology as time goes by. Hopefully, not too much time goes by because, as I mentioned, the deadline for raising these funds is the end of this month. That's just my personal deadline I set. And I've communicated with other people that are working on this project. So, and since the Jazz Club is a big part of that operation, I should play some jazz. So I'm going to do that right now. And in fact, once I think maybe once this particular series of concerts wraps itself up, I think I might start doing just jazz solo concerts because. I've dabbled in jazz my whole life. I've always been a big jazz fan, we could say, and I've performed a lot of jazz too. Maybe not as much as some of the the jazz cats around town, but a lot of people don't know that I play jazz. So I do play jazz though. I'm not just like exclusive. I just happen to play more classical. That's all. And maybe I should change that. So I ended up playing a little bit more jazz, just so I get more known in that regards. And when I do play jazz, I don't play a lot of Thelonious Monk, so I want to kind of change that too. So I'm going to play a Thelonious Monk tune here right now. This is Around Midnight. By the way, if anybody listening doesn't know much about jazz or doesn't know Thelonious Monk, he was a piano player. And he was a really unique character, like really unique. Talk to anybody who knows anything about jazz, just mention the name Thelonious Monk and they'll nod heads. He wore sunglasses and a top hat, and he smoked a cigar while he played. And his fingers were, like, his technique was really off. I mean, his fingers were all bent, and he would use his second and fifth fingers a lot. And modally, when he was playing, he would play a lot of ninths and thirteenths, like upper extensions and alter tones. He would play a lot of whole tone sounds and sharp five chords. So his style of playing was very unique. Usually, when you play a tune by Thelonious Monk, you know it's Thelonious Monk. Like you can hear it in the music itself. And this piece I'm going to play is actually quite tonal for most of the stuff he's written. This is Around Midnight. All right, that was Round Midnight by Thelonious Monk. So my next fundraising recital, like this type of an event, would be 2 weeks from today. So it would be August 16th. I don't think it's going to be on the Sherman Griffin website or the Facebook page. I'll try to save the last concert I do for that venue. I'm going to experiment with Instagram. So, you know, if the technology for today didn't work out, maybe it'll work out better on Instagram. But I would like to make it work on YouTube too, because I know there's an audience there. I have a lot of acquaintances that don't use Facebook and they do use YouTube. So, and I think Instagram, I think you do need an account if I understand right. So I'll have to check that out as well. So you can stay tuned. I usually let people know what I'm doing on Facebook, and I also reach out to through text messages to acquaintances like students and families and people helping out with the Sherman Griffin. So I'll find a way to notify you about the next performance one way or another. Send me a message if you did see this live. And let me know if you enjoyed it, and also reach out if you're thinking about becoming a donor for the Sherman Griffin. Definitely communicate with me. It's a little complicated right now, but we're going to make things work so that it eventually is easier. Hopefully this week we'll be able to do that. Like I said, there's some really good people helping me right now. We do have some lawyers that are going to make sure this is all very legit. That donors do get their money back through tax deductions. That lenders do get their money back with interest, and that the operation of the business runs smoothly and is also done legitimately. So if you have any questions about the project, please reach out to me. I would very much be interested in talking with you and forming a relationship with you as well. I'm already starting to do this with groups of people who are interested in donating. Just stay tuned. We'll have things streamlined very soon. All right, thanks. I'm gonna check and see if this technology worked out now. So I hope you enjoy the rest of your weekend, what's left of it. Take care.